Let's get down in the dirt with the Home Show Garden Pros.
Well, hello this afternoon, Facebook. This is our Facebook Live that we do weekly as part of Home Show Garden Pros. Home Show Garden Pros really is a radio show every single week, Saturday at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 610, also AM. But if I say all the AMs, it gets a little bit too much. So it is a show that gathers a bunch of gardening experts from amazing retail garden shops all over the cities. Just going to run through them real quick. You got Plants for All Seasons on 249, Enchanted Forest, Enchanted Gardens, Warren Southern Gardens up in Kingwood Garden Center, Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens out west, and in the Heights, Buchanan's Native Plants. Incredible selection of just knowledge specialists. So they rotate through on the show. This Facebook Live, it's just me, but I get to have a guest. So it's always exciting to have a guest, especially when your guest is as awesome as Meg Tapp. Hello, Meg.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. So Meg is with the Garden Club of Houston, which you guys are part of a larger group, the Garden Clubs of America. Will you tell me a little bit about what your group is doing these days and, how people can, consider joining gardening groups and getting more involved?
Well, our garden club has a really good website to start with that is full of information. So we're the Garden Club of Houston. So it's gchouston.org. And if you go on there, there's the public page, and it's got, if you click education, we have all kinds of educational videos. It's how to do amaryllis, how to arrange flowers, how to enter horticulture in a flower show, there's all kinds, how to do a bird habitat, how to do a butterfly habitat. There's all kinds of instructional videos. So that's good. And those are all geared toward our area
that's
in
awesome.
Houston. So that's good. And we have different kind of community programming. So the next one we have coming up is, now the name is going to be, it's not really what it is, but it's called a flower show. So it's a flower show, and it's going to be at Sawyer Yards, which is at Silver Street Studio.
Yeah.
And it's in April. And if you go on our website, gchouston.org, there's information on it. But what it is it's a competition so we're Garden Club of Houston, and we're under the umbrella of Garden Club of America. So anybody who's in a Garden Club of America club can enter into this flower show. So there's all kinds of divisions. There's like what you would think of as a flower show. It's arrangements. That's one division. And then the one that I care most about is the horticulture. Ooh. And the cool thing about going, and these are open to the public free of charge, so they're really cool to go to. And what's really fun about the horticulture part is there's two parts to it. One is container plants, and one is cut specimens in vases. So you awesome. Go, and then you get to see like what something's really pretty in a vase, just one little cut, and you're like, what is it? But everything has a card that tells you exactly how it's grown, like sun, shade, what exposure, any of that. And then you could say, oh, I can do that. I can grow that. So then you take a picture of the card yourself and go get yourself that plant. So
that's awesome.
That's really fun. And you get to see some pretty stuff. And then there's one other weird little division of it called Botanical Arts. And everything is made out of dried botanical material. So it's whether it's a seed, a pod, a leaf. So it'll be like a whole pearl necklace that actually works with the clasp and everything, that you think it really is a pearl necklace with like a ruby, but it might be a garbanzo, a dried garbanzo bean painted with metallic shiny white paint that looks like a pearl. I mean, it's really cool. But
or so like maybe like a porcupine from a pine cone.
Yes, something like that. But they will give you,
But more advanced, more intense and advanced, for sure.
Yes. No, your macaroni art will do quite well on the show.
As long as it's,
anyway, that's something to look for on our website. It's not till April, but I'm telling you, it's really, for horticulture people, it's really fun. And then just some of the other stuff is a bonus.
That sounds awesome. It's like a beautiful way to learn how to garden a little bit. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, as Meg knows, what we do on the show is answer gardening questions. It sounds like, y'all's website really has a bunch of great information for new gardeners and seasoned gardeners to improve the gardening game. And that's what we're all about, is helping people kind of find information. We love answering direct questions. And so you'll see kind of in the message, in the comment area, there's a great place to put questions. We have culled a few questions off of our Facebook page, Home Show Garden Pros, and our website, homeshowgardenpros.com. And there's the Ask a Pro button. And so we're going to start answering some questions. Meg, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was like, wait, is she gonna? Okay, awesome. Meg is ready.
Not
So
today.
here's the first question. This is from Jane. Jane says, I have a sunny spot where I would like to plant a native flowering small shrub. I would like to attract bees. It has to be small, 2 feet tall, pretty small, by maybe 3 feet wide. Thoughts?
Um, Jane, I have actually been in that same boat looking for something because I had a bird feeder that I wanted to have something kind of under it, but not
Hmm.
anyway. So what I ended up getting was, and oddly enough, on Buchanan's website just this week, it has a native of the week, and it's called a blue mist flower,
Oh,
and that's
cool.
what I didn't certainly didn't know it was going to be Buchanan's plant of the week I was on the show, but so I got it and planted it, and it is prolific and beautiful. It is little tiny. They're it's not blue, it's kind of purple, but it's bursting. It's got little anyway, it's just beautiful, and there are lots of little flowers, and I planted it in the early fall, and it's still blooming now, and
Oh, wow.
it spreads. It hasn't gotten too tall, but it is spreading and making itself at home. So that's one
That's an
I
awesome
would
one.
really think. But go to Buchanan's website and you can look at plant of the week, and you see a picture.
They're also having an indoor plant sale, I might add. I think that's pretty nice. I love salvia. Some salvia, like Amistad, are huge. They can get 6 feet tall, but a lot of them, like hot lips or even autumn sage, stay small, get a lot of colorful flowers, and bees are going to love those. And there's,
And
a bunch of places.
what is
What?
it, that African blue basil? It's not really a shrub, but that would work. I mean, that is really I've gotten a lot of bees off of that. It's just a basil that I don't think you eat it, but a friend of mine gave
Yeah.
it to me, and it's gone nuts. But it was not a culinary one that I know of, but it's a perennial, so it stays
Hmm.
always, I suppose. I mean, I've only had it, I guess, 6 months, but still getting bees to this day.
That's awesome. That is an interesting kind of, in my mind, it made it sort of interesting strategy to kind of do on this. If you're looking for 2 feet by 3 feet, maybe more than one plant is the way to go. Not more than one variety, but 4 or 5 or 6 plants. I know a lot of times you can find that African blue basil in 4-inch pots. And in that case, you buy 6 of them and plant yourself a little group around your area that you're trying to fill. In your case, the bird bath. But yeah, that's a great one. African blue basil is great. I don't think that's a native, hence the name,
Oh,
because the
yeah.
name. But it is a really great pollinator
She didn't say
bush.
where, native to where. Oh,
That's
here?
true.
Oh,
Yeah, she may be somewhere in Africa. We don't know. I mean, Jane, that could be anywhere. I
could
mean,
be.
the first time I ever heard that name was in relation to Tarzan, and I'm pretty sure that was set in Africa. So,
There
but
you
I
go.
don't really know. I haven't done my research on Disney stories or mythological creatures or whatever Tarzan is. Anyway, we've gotten off topic. We're really here to focus on gardening. So awesome stuff. Meg Tapp is here with the Garden Club of Houston. Question number 2. This one's from Michael. Michael says, I've been told that used coffee grounds are a good way to prevent weeds from growing in beds. Is that the case? And if so, what's the best way to apply? Also, along the same lines, what do you suggest for keeping weeds out of rock beds? So it's basically a weeds question. He has weeds in his beds and in his rock pathway. So what you got? You think coffee's a good way to get rid of weeds?
Um, I suppose if you used it as mulch, you could. So the one of the not to get rid of them. Once you get rid of them, pull them, and then if you could mulch, that would help suppress the weeds from coming back up. So,
Hmm.
I mean, in theory, I suppose that would be a lot of coffee to use for mulch. But anytime you could put in a layer of mulch, that would be good. Um,
Yeah.
but a lot of things can be mulch. It's not like what you think of as that chunky
No,
wood. I mean,
sure.
compost is mulch, straw is mulch, or
It's like
hay.
how
I
you
mean, straw.
use it as much as what it's made
Hmm.
from. Yeah. I think coffee
But
grounds, though, probably aren't going to eliminate weeds because they really do kind of stir up soil life. And it might even be where putting down a thin layer might even activate some weed seeds. Then you could pull those all and you wouldn't have weeds for a while. That might be a way coffee grounds could help in beds. It's always been really helpful for me in blueberry beds in places like that like a lot of robust soils. So what's your solution
yeah, I
in
mean, I
rock
feed it
beds?
to my worm. Yeah, I mean, I feed my coffee grounds to my worms. Yeah, it almost does seem like it would feed. Yeah, because you do use it as a soil amendment. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know that would work. Um, so in a rock garden,
Yeah, I guess
You know,
it's
I
like a
don't.
place where rocks are the mulch, like maybe a cactus garden that has rocks as the mulch, or I'm thinking of like a pathway. Weeds get in there and then you pull them up and you pull a bunch of dirt to the top. I don't know if you've got a thing that you like to put on them or you like using a flamethrower to eliminate them, things like that.
That would be my first choice for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know because I've heard. I mean, like, along those lines, I have heard that maybe people would do like boiling water or something, but that seems so cruel to what's living in the
Yeah.
soil. I
I
mean,
also
that
just
doesn't
don't
seem
think that
right.
works. I don't think that, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure boiling water is the way to go. You
Or
want to
yeah, I don't
kill
know.
down to the root if possible. And so if you want to spray something like Miramichi can be great. It depends on the weed you're dealing with, but Agrelon is a great weed killer for a group of weeds like crabgrass and weeds sometimes that grow in those settings are dichondra, dollarweed, clover can grow in that kind of rock bed setting, and Agrelon is great for those. So, but I like Miramichi a lot for just killing off the top. I do have a small weeding torch that I use in my rock pathway to keep it kind of weed free, and it's fun on a cold day.
Hmm.
So there's some
I would like a
strategies.
video of that.
Oh, that's not a bad idea actually. But I will say this is that if you're pulling out weeds that are in a rocked mulch space or rock pathway, you're going to pull up soil up to the top level. And so you're really better off kind of either trying to just take the seeds off of them or burn them with a pesticide or with flames instead of pulling them up. So another way to do it is to add another layer of rocks on top of what you've got. That can be a way to kind of delay the inevitable. So, but this is a tropical space or subtropical, somewhere along those lines, and plants want to grow here. So that's the thing about weeds.
That was informative for real.
Well, thanks, Meg. Okay, question number 3. Here we go. This is from Jenny. Jenny. Okay, no Forrest Gump impressions. I forgot to bring in / cover my hibiscus. Oh, is there anything I can do today to try and help them survive or bring back to life?
Say you're sorry first. No, I would. I suppose. I don't know, Danny. You probably know more than me on this one. I would say that you could prune away what's dead if you swear that that's not going to happen again.
Mm,
Um, because if you pruned it and then it happened again, then you've just left all that exposed.
right.
And the other thing, just on pruning, and then you can answer the real question, is when you do prune anything, make sure you clean your snippers or your scissors or whatever it is really well. People don't think about this, but you can do it with a little spray bottle of alcohol or just a cotton ball with alcohol. But every time you cut, you really should just wipe it
Absolutely.
down your blade, because people do not think about it. Even within, like, just say one blueberry to the next blueberry, you'd think, oh, I'm in the blueberry patch, it doesn't matter, but it does matter
It
because
definitely
you'll really
matters.
cut down on disease. But that
Absolutely.
did not quite answer the question. So
In Herman Park, we had a huge disease spread one time because we weren't cleaning as thoroughly as possible. And when you say alcohol, you mean like rubbing alcohol, right? Like beer won't do it.
no,
No, okay, good. I like
because you
using
wouldn't have it.
Consan.
Oh
Consan from
yeah,
Monterey. It does a great job because it kills fungi too, and that's one of the easiest ones to spread with your pruners. So I think you're right. I think, Jenny, honestly, if the hibiscus is alive, we won't find out till it starts growing again in late March, April. And so if something is clearly dead, you can prune it off. This is true for citrus too, things like that. If it's clearly dead, prune it off. But sometimes we don't really know what's dead until, April. And so if you can just kind of shape it a little bit so it's not totally, breaking your heart, then do that. But then come April, you'll see where new growth comes back, if at all. So, a lot of times on these cold snaps, we don't really fry the plant. They just drop their leaves. So that's hopefully the situation. I will say compost, some microlife, ultimate, the blue bag would be a great thing to kind of bring back hibiscus from death's door. There's a liquid fertilizer called Dakota Rev that can do a good job, but you want to do that when it's growing season. So again, you're waiting until April to do that. So I hope that helps, Jenny. All right, question number 4, Meg. This is from Beatrice. When is the right time to plant loofah seeds? Sunflowers, tomatoes, bell peppers, and all. We're just going to do those 4 and not do all the plants. So just going to do loofah seeds, sunflowers, tomatoes, bell peppers. I'm new at this, so all advice is very welcome. And she thanks us in advance. That's really kind of her.
That's crazy because she doesn't know what kind of advice
I know,
she's gonna
wacky advice she's going to get.
Beatrice, you've gone out on a limb. I am excited for you because new gardeners, I mean, all gardening is fun. So loofah, I have never done that, but I think that would be fun. I would think you would wait till March to put those seeds in.
Yeah, you
in
time
the
that
garden
one with
once it's warmed
cucumbers.
up.
You time
Yeah,
that one
and
with
so,
cucumbers. Yeah.
An eggplant would be the same. Eggplant plants would go in March. But now tomatoes, if you're, I don't know if you're new to the area or just new to gardening, but tomatoes are one of just the true joys of living in Houston because we have 2 tiny, well, actually I have tomatoes right this minute from the summer, which makes no sense. But we plant in February, which seems crazy because it's cold. But we have such a short time before it gets really too hot for your tomatoes to produce that you have to start them early. And there's a tiny risk of if you didn't, if some late freeze came and wiped them all out, but it's definitely a risk that you'll want to take because you can do things like try to cover them with a fabric and freeze cloth and things like that. But you definitely want to get those in. And you actually, I think Southwestern Fertilizer has them right this minute for sale, but I've started mine from seed. And if you do them from seed, you do them inside your house with under a grow lamp. So if you're new to all that, you probably aren't quite ready for that setup yet. But you can go to Southwest Fertilizer on Bissonnet, and see what they have. And and I think Danny, you have a good video about planting tomatoes on your Facebook page, on the Facebook page, don't you?
Yeah, and the website we do. Yeah, there's a couple tips on planting deep, but Beatrice, I mean, Meg couldn't be righter, obviously. She's so smart about all this stuff, but you want to start those as soon as you can. In fact, I did go to Southwest Fertilizer and got some tomatoes and already got them in the ground. In my mind, if I want bigger tomatoes, I have to have a longer growing season. And the only way to extend the growing season in the Houston area is planting them early. So we did have cold weather, and I had a very heavy frost at my house, and I just covered them with an upside-down bucket, just a regular old 5-gallon bucket. I have a little stack of 4 or 5, and so I covered them with those, and they're perfectly fine. They're looking really healthy, and I'm getting excited about having some big old huge beefy big-sized tomatoes this year. So the shorter
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that the shorter time you have for harvest, the less tomatoes you're going to get.
Yes, and they're heavy feeders, so you want to make sure you get some MicroLife 624 or something.
Yes.
To make sure that you continue to feed them because they are heavy feeders and they like to be watered, but they don't like wet feet, so don't get them too soggy. And then there's 2 kinds. There's indeterminate and determinate is the easiest way to think of it. Or if it says like patio or bush on the little ticket, though that would probably be the easiest if you're new to it because it just makes a cute little plant. And you can also do it in a pot because the ones that are indeterminate can get 6 feet tall. So that might be, I don't know what your situation is on where you want to grow them, but if you do something called patio or bush, those can grow in a pot if that's what you're working on. And sunflowers. Now, the thing I have fallen in love with recently is microgreens, and sunflowers make really, really, really good microgreens.
Oh, interesting.
So all you have to do is you get I think it's black oil sunflowers, but it's the black sunflower seeds, and you make a little patch in your garden or wherever you're going to do it. You could do it in a pot too, and then you just sprinkle them and then barely put some dirt on it and then water it in, and then in 7 days you have microgreens that you can eat, and it's amazing. And sunflower ones, they're so fast, and they're really the sunflower one. You can do anything. You can do broccoli, kale, spinach, onion, lettuce, radish, beet. I mean, anything you could do because it's not going to get all the way to the plant. It's just the little first shoots of it. So when you sprinkle them in the area that you're going to grow them in, like I said, in 1 week you'll be ready to harvest them. And so you have to cut them. So they're growing up like this, and you have to cut them. So make sure that you don't plant them too far away from you because you're going to have one hand to hold the top of the plant and the other hand to cut. So if you plant them where you have to bend way over, you have nothing to hold on to you. So
right. Then all of a sudden you're doing gardening yoga, and that's always dangerous with scissors.
Yes,
So
but
we did.
that is
We
fun to do.
Yeah, we did get a question from Jackie here on the Facebook Live comment, which we encourage you guys to ask questions live. We love those. Jackie asked what types are best right now. So she's talking varieties of tomatoes, seeds, and I think the shorter season that you can do from seed right now. Really, when you want to start tomato seeds, you want to do those before Christmas. The bigger you get, the better in the ground. But if you're doing them now, things like Sweet 1 Million, my favorite, Juliet's, make an awesome key fob-sized tomato. They're a great one that you can do seed right now, but you want something that's going to have a little bit shorter of a window to harvest. A lot of those patio tomatoes that Meg was just talking about. Meg, what's your thought on best tomatoes types to start right now from seed?
Well, if you want to just explore without going to like I said, Buchanan, Southwest Fertilizer, everybody, all your partners have
Right.
big seed selections. But if you just want to look at it on your own, you can look at like Burpee online, and then it'll say days to maturity on it. And sometimes it'll say 80 days, 75. I think 45 that's kind of the lower end.
Very
So
low end.
that's what he's talking about. That's what Danny's talking about, is you would
Yeah.
pick a 45-day one because you're starting them late, even though it's not late. But so my first round I started at the beginning of December, kind of, and then I did it right around Christmas, and then the last one I did was on New Year's Day, and that's all that I will be doing. But and so I did like the 80-day was the ones I did early December, and then it went down to 65-day, and then to 40-day. But if you just want to go online and look, and that you'll see where it is on the packet, and then you'll know to look for it.
Definitely. That's great advice. Looking for those numbers on there. Hope that she says Huskies would be great. I guess that's a type of tomato as well, not the dogs. They're beautiful animals for sure, Jackie.
But then you got to also remember, if you want it indeterminate, which is going to get really tall, or if you're stuck, if you're tight on space, then you need to get a compact bush one, and then that just honestly depends on where you're going to grow it.
Absolutely. Well, great word on there, tomatoes. That is a popular topic right now because it is getting the heart of the season, and we are encouraging people to plant as soon as you can. So Meg's a big February 1st person, which is my daughter's birthday, and I'm a big do it as soon as you possibly can person. So we're hoping we get a lot of new gardeners kind of tuning in because there's so many new gardeners, and we want y'all to have success. And a great way to have success is by interacting well and choosing excellent soils. So Sherry Harrow with Plants for All Seasons has some great advice for us on awesome soils good for our area. So we're going to cue up that video now and listen to Sherry. We all know it's important to have great soil, but what kind of mix do you need for growing your vegetables? Sherry is here to help us choose what kind we need.
Right, so first we need to look at where we're gardening. We're growing vegetables, we know that.
Heck
Are
yeah.
we growing in the ground? Are we growing in a container? Are we growing in a raised bed?
A lot of different options
These
for
are all
growing.
things to think about. So if we're going right into the ground in an existing garden, then we really just need to amend our soil. We need to add a good compost, like this Nature's Way leaf mold compost or a manure-based compost would be ideal. But if you're growing in a big container and you're filling it up, you would want to put a garden mix, something like this Gardener's Magic. It's blended for raised beds, it's got the good compost in it, and it's just a real high quality, less expensive soil, and you can throw the good compost right on top.
And this is a really big bag too, so it's kind of thing where you pay a little bit less to fill all that volume up.
Right, and then
Yeah.
like I said, you can put the compost on top. But if you're growing in a pot, we really want to use something that's designed for a pot, that water can move through and drain and doesn't pack
Gotcha.
down. So in that case, we want to use something like this Fox Farm Ocean Forest potting soil that is made to be in a pot. So really, that's it. If you have really good soil to start off with, we'll have success with vegetables.
That's right, so always want to start with great soil, but it does matter what you're growing in. Thanks a lot, Sherry.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For more great information, go to HomeShowGardenPros.com. Well, great job, Sherry. We can't iterate it enough. If you have great soil and you invest in the soil, you will have great production. That's just one of the rules of gardening. Don't skimp on the soil. Just start with the good stuff. So, Meg, I invite you to kind of tell us about the flower show a little bit more. It sounds amazing. Do you know when April that might be?
27 and 28. Can I say
Okay.
one thing before I go on to the garden
Yes.
club? When
No,
she was
of
just
course.
talking about filling up the pot, that it's expensive if you have a whole huge pot, that you have to fill it all the way up with dirt. Because you remember in the old days, you used to do broken pottery at the bottom, or you did rocks at the bottom to take up some of the volume so that you didn't have to put in so much dirt. But there is something called, and I've used it before, but my jury's kind of out on it, but it's called Better Than Rocks. And it is this lightweight, it almost looks like air conditioning insulation, which makes me think, do I want that by my food? But it's not air conditioning insulation, but it looks like it. And so you cut it up, and it's really lightweight, just filler. But it comes, instead of, it's not like little peanuts that would blow away or you would lose them. It's in sheets, and you cut it, and you cut it in a circle to fit your pot, and you stack however many layers of that you want to take up as much volume. And then when you add soil on top, then you don't have to use so much soil. But that would be if you were going to have a really tall pot and you wanted to have something like, you could have lettuces or something, some fun vegetables growing as an ornamental in a pot. So that is that. Okay, Garden Club of Houston flower show. Yes, it's the I wrote it down, 27th and 28th, and I'll talk more about it as it gets closer. But it really is something, like I said, that you'll enjoy it. This year's theme or title of the show is Graffiti Art in the City. And so, do you know that Gonzo 247?
Yeah.
Gonzo?
Yeah.
Okay, so so he
Marco.
did our artwork. Yeah, he did the special. He let us use some of the artwork on some of the classes are inspired from his artwork, and he did the artwork for all of our signs and things like that. So
so cool.
Anyway, but it's gonna be neat. It's kind of a gritty theme. But
No, I think I love that.
Fun.
And I mean, you guys are
Yes,
going to
and
be
it's-
kind of in a cool area, perfect for that. We do have one question that is coming through our Big Brother channel, Home Show Radio, and David McCreary asked this: what would be the best way to get soot stains out of the tile grout above my fireplace? So Tom Tynan's going to have a perfect answer for that. I would ask Tom for sure, but what I've done in the past is get the Consan 20 and rub it with a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, obviously, and just rub that grout. And actually it does pretty good at getting the soot out. So, but ask Tom for sure when he does his live, or just kind of message him through the Facebook page there. So appreciate that so much, David. But we're talking gardening. So indoor stuff is not really my expertise. So, but anyway, Meg, thanks so much for being on here. Hopefully everybody can kind of learn more about the Garden Club of Houston and the great stuff you guys are doing all over the city. Tune in this Saturday. We have the wonderful Joey Linderman from the Enchanted Gardens out there in Richmond, Texas, and also Anita Nelson from Nelson Nursery and Water Garden. It should be a lot of fun, and look forward to your questions when you guys call in Saturday morning. As for now, we're going to say goodbye and keep growing.